It'll taste like glass, yep.
He played pretty
Hey,
good.
welcome everybody.
He played pretty good.
Did he? Welcome everybody. Hey, that's such a great drink.
My white-headed
It works. It works. That's my breakfast drink. Hey, welcome to our Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025 study session. We'll go ahead and start with roll call. Brad, do you want to get us started?
Brad Eller, board member. Jake Collette, board member.
Corey Holmes, board member.
Jason Watt, business administrator.
Brianne Peterson, board member.
Kim Dickerson, board member.
Derek Peterson, superintendent.
Okay, great. Welcome. Okay, we'll go ahead and I learned that an hour is not that long, 55 minutes. Okay, we'll start with number 1, school boundary discussion, and our superintendent will lead that discussion, and I think Eric is part of that too. So.
Yeah, Eric might have some things as well. So, Eric, why don't you come up here just in case? Thank Kim for asking me to do this. So, what we're going to do first is just kind of review. We just did 5 boundary meetings. 3 with specific neighborhoods, 2 with schools, and just review kind of what we felt like we learned there. And then the second thing that we want to do in this study session is, okay, what more do we want to learn and what do we need to get together so that we talked, I think there's a little bit of discussion about this last night, so the next time we get together we have all that prepared. And then the last thing will be we've got a little mock-up of a survey prepared that we can kind of beat on a little bit and see if that survey will give us the information. So a lot of what we're doing tonight is reviewing what we're doing and making sure we have all the information, including the survey information, so when we meet next time we can sit down and look at everything together. And I think we'll have to do some work with our demographer, from what I understand, to get some things. And so we'll just start preparing those things after tonight. So let's just review. And maybe the way we can do this, if no one objects, is we can just have each person kind of, based off of what they heard, kind of what's standing out to you right now, based what you hear from the different board meetings, and then we'll come back to and then what's on your mind. So right now, like what have you heard, and how's that kind of influencing your thoughts? And you can even refer to the different scenarios too, and where you are on that as well. This is an open public meeting, and for the people that hear what's on our mind, I think it's a fair thing. So, Kim, you want to start?
Sure, I will start. I think it's all over the place, but I think some of the main things that I heard is parents they put proximity as a priority, but along with, and I think it depends on which neighborhood we're talking to, but proximity is something that was very important. Keeping the neighborhoods together is important. And we also heard that keeping the elementary schools together is something that's important. So I'm still kind of sorting out all my notes and just things that I heard, but I mean, it just kind of depends on what area we're talking about. So I'm really not any further along in anything, in any decision today than I was from the very first meeting. I just think maybe we need to gather all of our thoughts together and gather what everybody has heard.
Which what you just said is almost impossible.
Yeah.
To put neighborhoods together, schools together, and proximity together, it's almost impossible to do all 3.
And the other thing that I am hearing is, a lot of people want to go to Wasatch, the existing high school, and I just wonder how much of that is because we just they don't know about Deer Creek, and so I think that is something we need to focus on is, teaching the community, like, it's a comprehensive high school. We have 2 comprehensive high schools. What are we going to offer at Deer Creek?
It seemed like both of them, though, a major part of that was being proximate to it. They both viewed themselves as
The proximity.
that's our closest one.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We can't do it all. That's what I know.
Yeah. Brianne, thoughts?
Yeah. I think one thing I walked away from the meetings with is a lot of people saying, thank you for listening. And so I'm grateful for the chance to meet with the community and hear what is important to them. And I think they are grateful that we've taken the time to gather that feedback with the survey in the spring. I mean, total, we've done 7 community meetings. And then they know another survey will be going out. And so I just heard like over and over again this morning as I walk my kids to school, this is a hard decision. We know you're listening and we trust you to do what's right. And I appreciate people, their empathy to know we're trying to do our best and we are hearing them. But yeah, we can't make everybody happy because you can't do it all. And I appreciate the website being up to date because I did refer a lot of people to that because a lot of people asked to see the scenarios again. So thank you for having the website up to date. I had a lot of people tell me, you know what, if school choice and open enrollment is an option, I'm good. So I appreciate this board making that a priority because I think that has alleviated a lot of fear from people I've talked to. I guess my summaries of the meeting, I heard that Todd Hollow wants to go to Deer Creek. Sawmill wants Wasatch High School for proximity and safety, and the Cove wants Wasatch High School for proximity and safety. And with our elementary meetings, I heard the same things. Daniel Canyon wants option B, scenario B for proximity and feeder patterns, and J.R. Smith wants option C or D for proximity and feeders. And so I think I'm feeling torn, split, because both of those, we know Midway and Heber Valley are going to Deer Creek. We know Old Mill is for proximity. We know Old Mill is going to Wasatch for proximity. Your pivot points are J.R. Smith and Daniels Canyon. And so where I feel torn is both of those schools and communities want the same thing. They both want to attend Wasatch High School for proximity, safety, and feeder patterns. And we can't do both. Not everybody can go to Wasatch. I was just left trying to figure out what is best for the community as a whole. And, do we need to rank choice some of those priorities they said, proximity, feeder patterns, to know which one they want to honor, because you can't do proximity and feeder patterns at the same time in some cases. I heard that some people wanted to look at some new scenarios, like we talked about some options with running, Highway 40 up Coyote, so it sounds like maybe we need to tweak some scenarios and play with them based on the feedback we got, and some information that I think we heard that maybe is still needed is educating, like you said, on the new school. I think a lot of people know Wasatch. They don't know, like I talked to a mom last night that was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know MTech was right on Deer Creek's campus. I didn't know that they, have all this awesome athletic facility, and just helping people realize there are 2 great options. I did have some requests if we could put the roads or landmarks on the scenarios for reference. Some people had a hard time reading the maps.
I did.
Yeah, so I didn't know if maybe that was an option to help.
Brad had to show us where it was.
And I had a few people at the meeting, several people brought up surveying the kids. So I just wanted to know if that was something that we wanted to pursue. And a traffic study, I didn't know if we needed to coordinate with the city or on infrastructure. I appreciate Adam Hagan speaking to transportation costs, because people asked, have you run those numbers? And it sounds like we're busing the same amount of kids regardless, so the transportation costs are the same, from what I understood. And then I did have a request to see the map of where building permits have been approved, just so they can see that we're planning with future building in mind. So I think that was kind of most of mine. The aligning the elementary boundaries has come up repeatedly, and I think we've told people that's not for next year, but definitely something the board could look at in the future. So I think the only last thing is I did have someone ask about SPED, and if we've looked at special ed numbers. And I had a great conversation with Director Campbell earlier, where I just want to reassure those parents, and I think we as the board need to send that message of kids will have services regardless of where they're placed. We'll make sure that that IEP team, make sure they're in the best placement and have the services they need, 2 great schools, regardless of the high school they're at. So those are my takeaways.
I think maybe to respond, like some of the things that we talked today coming out of that meeting, just so the rest of the board is aware, and then we can talk about what this is going to meet your needs when it comes to like things we need for the future. But we were thinking we can run scenarios like off River Road, off of Coyote, even down as far as like 5th North. Let's see what that does, and So the one thing that I heard like up in that boundary, and I heard it kind of in both of our meetings, was like people that are naturally in neighborhoods together right across the street from each other. There seems to be, especially up in the J.R. Smith, as I've listened, a stronger, well, and probably in both, a stronger adherence to neighborhood over feeder pattern elementary. The neighborhood is the, so we can figure out the neighborhood and where they identify in the neighborhood, which is easy in like the Sawmill area, not so easy up there. And so we might have to do a little bit of work to figure that out, but I think there's ways we can figure that out where they kind of identify their neighborhood needs. So I think that's some work we can do up there too.
I kind of, my takeaway is similar as Kim, Rand, you've talked a lot about different scenarios. One of the things that I walked away is the question was asked, right now with school choice, if we school choice and, everyone was kind of like, well, we want to go to Wasatch, Well, if we have 1,600 kids at Wasatch and 1,100 at Daniels Canyon, do we let that happen? Deer Creek. Deer Creek. Do we let that happen? Are we willing to do a 5A school and a 3A school or a 4A school? Are we willing to go down that road, or do we step in and somehow say, no, we got to balance this out? So I think that's something, we think it's not going to be a problem, but it was brought to our attention that what if it is a problem? I was just coming down 500 North, and my daughter-in-law was out on the street. And I stopped, pulled over and talked to her for a second. She asked me what I was doing. I told her, and kind of told her what we were talking about. And she's like, well, we'll for sure go to Wasatch, won't we? And I'm like, but her response is, we'll go wherever we're supposed to. But in people's mind, they've already kind of probably gathered where they think they should be going, and that may not be the case.
Do you think they're using 40 as, in their minds, do you think they're using 40 as the boundary?
Possibly. We didn't go down that road. But I think some may think that, east this side, west that side, easy split, but we know it's not that easy.
So I'll throw that out there, like, what are the thoughts on how tight are we with open enrollment, just dictating the pace of things here? I mean, I know going way back before I was superintendent, you had community meetings and kind of the thought and the message went out, open enrollment. How committed are we to that? I think that's one of the questions that Corey just asked. And any thoughts on that?
Whatever we do has to comply with open enrollment law at the state, which is 90% of capacity, right?
I think, and we could check into this, I know there's some leeway that's given to a first established boundary, because I know we took advantage of that in Alpine on a couple of schools. So I think there's some leeway where we could actually do that. It's just a question if that's something we would want to do rather than just stay with the open enrollment idea.
A few other things that we can consider, which is hard when we're just starting a school, but like, for instance, in traditional school choice, if having, even if we're not at capacity, adding this third grader puts us over the mark where we'd have to split a class or hire another teacher, then we can say no to that one, right? Even if we are open school. And so, again, we're not planning on any of this. My sort of thoughts about this is that we get this boundary established. I'm pushing for October finalized, so that then we can give people a lot of time, sometimes even maybe 6 weeks or so, to fill out an open enrollment form. Have those due by maybe December 1. We then use that information to start splitting faculty numbers and stuff like that. And then we could even open it back up in the spring for another sort of round. I think we kind of hit some of those things, and then maybe we could use some of those other things. And again, to me, if it, we would prioritize seniors and down as if we did have to make any choices like that.
I think one of the things that we were thinking to kind of respond to you to a little bit on this same idea is, like, we could create a video to go out about the school, probably like after fall break, like after the boundaries have been set. Okay, now see what the possibilities are before we really went out to the kids. And we could do something like show that in their English class or something like that, bring seniors down to assembly. I mean, the place that I'm most concerned about are you going to be your juniors and seniors. I think over time the natural boundary will play out, but it's the initial boundary that may not play out as well, depending on some of the feedback we've heard.
So I think we could be willing to have a bigger split than we would like for the first couple of years, personally.
Knowing that in a couple of years they're all.
I'm wondering if we need to do some kind of video now, because I prefer, hey, this is
Let us show you Deer Creek.
let us show you Deer Creek, not this is where you're going, let us show you Deer Creek. I don't like that order. I'd rather just have a video out now that says, hey, let us show you Deer Creek, and let people buy in if they want on their own versus, okay, we set the boundaries, this is where you're going, here's Deer Creek.
What's your thoughts on that, Steph?
I mean, I could definitely talk to Mackenzie or,
I know it's a little more work now.
yeah, and time-wise, I'd have to see,
Yeah.
depending on your timetable. I will tell you, even a VR experience through the company, a VR experience is really powerful that can be put out through the company and you can show them hallways finished, gymnasiums, you can show them all the things, and they might be the ones we talk to see if they could put something together more so than, because even going to look at construction, the auditorium's amazing, but it's, with all the beams and stuff, it's not as odd as, so I think that could be done, but that might be.
And that's just my thought. I mean, what do you all think about that?
That was something that surprised me a lot, was how little I felt like the public knew about Deer Creek. So I would support something like that to make the health awareness go up, which would by default help people make better informed decisions.
And I think just from my own personal experience, my heart was with Wasatch first, right? Like, my grandparents went there, my cousins went there, I taught there, but when I toured Deer Creek, I was like, this facility is amazing. Like, I seriously am fine if my kids go to both. Like, it kind of took some of the emotional attachment away, where it's like, my kids aren't getting gypped either way. Wherever they end up, it's awesome, both schools. And so I had that experience because I got to tour the new school. I wonder if somehow we could give the community that experience to see, like, wherever you land, your kids are getting an awesome experience either place.
We do have our own video of the footprint that's really good that we can show. We can't really take community members down there because of the liability of construction right now. But we could definitely show the video of the footprint and
some
the
video,
progress it's made, the roads, the fields.
and some video from the inside too.
Yeah, I think it's helping them connect to, right now they're all connecting to Wasatch. They're
It's
not
known,
connecting
that's
to
the
Deer
known
Creek.
option, yeah.
So
Because
let's
they
help
know
them
that.
connect
Yeah.
now, not, hey,
Right.
this is where you're going, go ahead and start
I'd
connecting.
love to see what some of the VR versions are and the drone footage and
Yeah.
how quick we could just splice some
VR
of
is
that
cool.
together and just give another round of information.
I would love for the new board members, or the newer board members to do the VR, because I know Corey and I have done it, but you haven't done it yet, right?
And I guess when do we communicate along with that, like safe walking routes, driving routes? Because that was a question. A lot of people were like, I'm worried about my kid crossing 40. Or one woman I talked to last night, she is like 1.2 miles from Deer Creek and 1.2 miles from Wasatch. She's like dead center. And that was her question is, if we land in Deer Creek, I'm under where the bus is, will my kids be bus low across the highway? So I think it's kind of communicating the safety aspect of
As soon as the boundary, I think as soon as the boundary is set, then Adam would start working on those things.
Even if I don't know how complicated it would be, but if we have drone footage and VR, like what the future will look like, it doesn't have to have a boundary, but it will provide a lot of clarity of all the ways you can enter, all the ways you're going to be able to exit, where the lights are going to be, and if it's all imaginary at that stage anyway, let's build in the stuff that shows the traffic patterns and the flow and the lights. That might really help answer. Even though the boundaries aren't there, you at least know all the options to get in and out of that school.
Just so you guys know, we do, before we ever get approval for school, we do a traffic study.
Oh,
Obviously, it doesn't take into account every neighborhood, right? But that's what's one of the reasons why Midway Lane is being expanded, is because of
So that's being
that.
done.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
That's good to know. That's good
So-
to know.
Jake, what's your thoughts?
I don't remember. Those are all really good. Yeah, Brienne's was perfect. Like, you hit all the stuff, and I did one of the first things that I loved the most was the amount of comments that came thanking, and I don't even feel like I could take any credit. Like, all the work that especially that side of the table has done. I love that part's being acknowledged, because the amount of effort that's being put in to try to do the best we can. I don't know if perfect's going to be possible, but the best possible scenario, I think, is going to rise to the surface. And I remember now the thing that stuck with me the most goes along with where you guys were saying with the choice. There is some way to get an idea ahead of time. If we put a deadline on something, like we put some urgency behind getting people to make a choice, not that they're officially committed to it or anything like that, but that would give us a lot of insight with enough time to then adjust. I like that if it's an option, so that we aren't just reacting when there is no more time. Like you said, it's just done, the deadline's there. If there was a way to get some of that done earlier to give us a ballpark and room.
We'll show the survey that we mocked up, which we might be able to get a little bit of that information here in a second. So that might help out with that. I don't know if it does perfectly, but it might give us a little bit of information.
Letting all the juniors and seniors know, like, hey, if you guys had to make a decision by the end of October, where would you go? And have them punch that in on their phone or whatever, and just get some high-level stats. I don't know if it's possible, but that would be interesting. I think for us to have a better idea in case it does get really lopsided.
Brad, what's your thoughts?
I did a lot of listening because my area is affected, but it's not affected in the same way that other schools are. Unless we want to take Old Mill and Midway and put them in one school, and then we just put everybody else in a different school.
Hey, those numbers might work out really well.
They might work. They might work.
Yeah.
Scenario like X. So,
Lots of things going on with that.
everybody gets bused to school. That's just the way it's going to work.
Proximity's
I've worked in those
Yeah.
districts before.
Three-legged stool, proximity is one of them. We removed that leg, and so we can't do anything else. But we'll keep neighborhoods and elementaries together. I think if we're going to do a video or something for a building, I think we should do the other building
Agreed.
and make it so we treat them equally, so they look like they are equal on equal footings. That's what we've talked about, is we want them to be equal,
That's the
and we
point.
can highlight the difference, right?
Obviously address that the service, everything
Yeah.
will be the exact same.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, one of the key differences, right, like at Wasatch High School, is that it has the ROTC. MTech is right across the street from Deer Creek, and maybe one of those things sets, a family over one way or another. Having been in a school that split my senior year, I was in the boundaries, but most people opted to go to the school that we went to most of high school with. The graduating class at the other school was 10% of the entire senior class, and that was it. So I would anticipate that's probably going to be very similar for us. And if that means it's lopsided for a little bit, then that's probably what it's going to mean. But some of the things, and some of the parents said this, is until they know where the coaches are going, until they know where their friends are going, until they know, where some of these things are, it's just really hard to know. And with my own kids' experience, I took my own kids' experience into this, which was they have friends who live all over this valley. They have friends at TMS and Rocky Mountain. They just interacted with them because they have other activities outside of just neighborhood type events. Whether it be a religious event or whether it be sporting events or things like that has them interact with other people, and for that reason they end up interacting with kids from all over. So for me, that was one of the big things I heard from that was people do care about having neighborhoods together. I can certainly understand that.
But as they get older.
But as they get older, for me, I just don't think it matters as much to people when they're in high school. It's just, maybe I'm different and.
I've had a similar experience with my kids.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe one of the reasons it doesn't matter as much is when they get in high school, they can then go themselves to wherever they want to go. Whereas a 9-year-old kid is dependent on his parents to take him wherever outside of the neighborhood.
Well, I heard that a little bit. I think there's more trepidation with the middle school
Yes.
for parents than it is the high school. I think that's where you'll feel most of the, I hope I get to go where I want to go on that one.
Yeah.
All right, any other thoughts?
I just had a question with the open enrollment form, because a mom asked me last night, do they have to fill that out? You said by kid, right? So she was wondering, is there like a opt-in for the whole family if she has multiple kids that she, or do they have to fill it out multiple times? Multiple times?
Yeah.
Okay.
It helps us to keep track of who they
makes
are
sense.
better.
So one thing, which I don't know how this falls, but once you open enrolling to a school, you are entitled to go to that school the next year. So if
She
you
just has to
open
do
it,
it one time,
yeah.
the first year.
Well, you still have to register every year like
Right,
you do,
right.
but once you open enroll into, and you're accepted into the school, it's not like next year you're like, oh, I'm in the lottery again, I gotta fight to get into this position. You don't have to do that. You are entitled to remain at that school.
In fact, there'd be an assumption
Yeah.
that would, unless you let people know that, there'd be an assumption that. that's what
Okay,
you would
so
do.
one open enrollment application covers 4 years.
Successive years, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Other thoughts before we move into now what information do we need and what scenarios, like other things? I think we threw a couple of them out there, but we want to get all of those so that we can really get prepped and access the people we need to get prepped for our meeting on the 10th. So thoughts on, we talked a little bit about what we heard last night, maybe a River Road scenario, a Coyote scenario, maybe getting up in there and figuring out neighborhoods a little bit over the next little bit, seeing what we can figure out there, and maybe create a third scenario boundary off of there so we can just look at that J.R. Smith boundary a little bit better and understand the neighborhoods. Other things that you feel, Kim sent out the article on,
The south end of 40.
40.
We're turning it
and what
into
they
5
plan on doing
lanes
with that.
down there.
South end of 40?
Yeah, well, so by Center Creek.
Strawberry.
So basically like the 4-way, the intersection on down, 5 lanes.
Down to Mill Road,
Nice big barrier there.
where the Steak Center is.
Yeah. So those are some things that we might want to all read together. Other things that we want or information we might need or things we want to play out before we meet next time that's on your minds.
For me, equity still falls high on the list. Having experience and access to different people from different backgrounds becomes really important in a balanced way. And so I think we need to look at that. We need to look at some of the scenarios are a little bit more lopsided than others for free and reduced. Some of them are a little bit more lopsided for ELL. Some of them are a little bit probably lopsided for some of the special education as well. I was told not to use that anymore. Right? Supposed to use special education, not SPED.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
But so for me, I think we just need to take that into consideration. So as we look at, if we're looking at another scenario and have for whatever that may be, River Road, some of those scenarios like that, I think we should just look at how those numbers fall out as well.
I do think those 4 priorities, at least for me, trains my brain in the right way. Like, because you look at where you feel like, well, that's off a little bit here. And you're right, when you look at it that way, there's no one right scenario. Every scenario is a little off based off of our priorities in some way.
Yeah.
And that's where you are going to eventually have to make decisions based off of the priorities that your community that you're representing or whatever is making. There's just going to have to be some decisions made on that.
But I think you're right, enrollment balance and equitable programs, that came across strongly, because when we talked about an imbalance in some of the scenarios, and you talked about a 5A or 3A, it seemed like the response was not positive. People are wanting, they want their kids to have equal opportunities no matter where they land.
I did look, just as kind of a side note, if it was a 4A, 3A type thing, the 3A region is horrible. It would probably be like Juan Diego, Union, Morgan, there's another
Emory?
school in the valley. I don't think Emory's part of that.
They-
I think Emory's south. So we'd be running an hour to hour and a half bus trip, so hopefully not 3
That
hours.
is not
So.
equivalent.
Superintendent, I'm just curious, has anyone had a discussion with Cedar? Because they're in that boat now, where they have a 4A, 3A in the same town.
Yeah,
Was it
I
strictly
know
because
very
numbers
early
failed?
on, I wasn't part of that, but I know that was one of the districts that was reached out to. I don't know what the conversations were at, but I can find out.
I mean, and I know I
Well,
know one year, it was, their travel was horrible, they were having to come to,
Wasn't
I
it?
think they're both 4 right now.
but there was a year they weren't though. Because I remember looking at it,
I think
Canyon View was having to travel up to Utah County
Yeah.
for almost every game.
For football only, they're going 4A and
Maybe it was
3A, I
that.
think, Sean. For football only.
Jason said it wasn't intentional.
Well, they did that a long time ago, right? That split's been, when did that split? I mean, probably 30 years
Well,
ago.
no,
at least.
but recently they've been in different regions.
I know, but what I'm saying is they intended for that to be an equitable split, and for lots of different reasons that others know better than I. The new building wasn't really up to stand. There were some issues with the new building that really propelled everyone to stay. They struggled to overcome that for a bit.
I don't think we'll have that problem with the buildings.
No.
But I would like to see that map again, when we are looking at it, that looks at the developments in the building, just, I mean, I know it's a crystal ball, but just so we can kind of project. Because we have that map of where the areas
one that
in
we showed
town are
before.
growing, just as a reference.
Just kind of
Yeah,
the growing areas and the non-growing areas where we're losing kids and that.
yeah.
I have been curious about that in my own brain too, and I know it's projecting out and it gets really hard. But like, we know these big communities are coming that seem to be going full of family dwelling. It's like when?
Right.
Like, what's the trigger date on those? Like, when do they start? I don't know how much it's gonna help us, but I have been curious about it. So that would be helpful for him. Other wants or information we want, like, we'll try to get this stuff to you before we meet the next time so that you can kind of be looking at it as much as we possibly. Some of the stuff like might not be possible. Some of the stuff that we're working on with the demographer, but we'll do our best, like even if we got out the PowerPoint so we can look at it and kind of study it before we come next time. But is there anything else that you would like us to gather for us in that next session that's on your mind?
I think it comes from the demographer potentially, but I think we can also get it ourselves, is the new neighborhoods that have come online, like by Coyote Lane, the new areas. How many kids are coming from those areas? And what age groups are those kids? Are they elementary, middle, or high? If they have, even if they have kids, right?
That should be easy to get the way she does it. That's all be sitting there right now.
Not to throw a bunch of stuff, but I think another thing that would be helpful is, I mentioned, we know back at Smith's, they're building a bunch of apartments there.
Yeah.
What does it do out of Daniels? Families are occupying those, and what type of kids are coming from there may help us make a decision, knowing that, likely those are going to be on the next year and a half, I'll bet. So,
We're running home, but I stand correct. Canyon View is 3A right now.
Thank
A lot.
no, that's a big man.
He knew he was right all along, he just wasn't gonna rub it.
Region 14, this is 3A. So there is a region 12 in 3A, that would be Ben Lomond,
It's Ogden's.
Logan, Layton Christian, Grantsville, Morgan, Ogden.
That's where I want to drive.
Right.
Right there.
Is like
That is
Marvin,
horrible.
Emery,
Yeah, we can't.
so it is a little rough. Manti, 4A would be a
That's-
different.
We forget back to the days where we went to Roosevelt and Vernal all the time. And Tuella. I know, those were good times.
Yes.
All right, last thing, is it you that has the survey, Stace? Do you want to pull that up there? So this, Steph and Stacy, I think, kind of worked on this a little bit. We want to make sure this is a first brush thing based off of what we heard, maybe some information that we now want to go back out to everybody with. See what we can get, hopefully we have a little bit more education out there. Anyway, so I'll just kind of let you roll through this first one. Steph, why don't you help us with this a little bit? You kind of help put this together, take us through these different questions.
Well, I'll be honest, it's more of a Stace than a Steph.
Okay.
But Steph can read through it. So
Okay.
Stacy
I
could
can
also
see
do
with my
it.
new contacts, so I'm very proud of myself. This one just says, as the district makes the boundary decisions, which factors do you believe should carry the most weight? So this is that ranking, so you guys can kind of, I think you mentioned that just in your discussion. If you had to choose, what is the most important thing to you?
And I do appreciate this question because that we keep hearing proximity and feeder patterns, but when you have elementary schools that some are closer to Deer Creek and some are closer to Wasatch, so you can't honor both, I think it's nice to know, okay, which one is the priority then if you can't honor both.
Yeah, that was my favorite feedback in the community meetings for me personally. It's like when you pitted the two together. I love when we had them raise their hands.
Yeah.
Kind of pitted the two together and they said, this is where I would stick my stake.
We wish we could give you both, but it's not possible,
And then that next one gives you an idea, based on that decision up there, what grade levels are your students? That could help guide some decisions too, based on, is it middle school, families are saying this, that kind of thing. So you can know what grade levels they are. Which elementary school boundary do you live in, even if your children did not attend that school?
And that allows us to disaggregate the data, right? Because we heard that last night, that it impacts us more if I live in J.R. Smith as opposed to Midway, so I like that.
Yeah, that one with the 4 priorities would, I think, give us a lot of information about what people in different elementary feeder patterns are prioritizing.
What is other?
What is
I
it?
don't know.
Well,
It probably doesn't.
We do have, I said,
WLA.
yeah, we do have some kids in
WLA.
choice in the
WLA.
district, so that's.
And some kids that are involved in, say, Soldier Hollow that intend to come back for high school. So,
We thought about putting a map with that one, just in case you weren't, like you moved here and you don't know what elementary boundaries, so we talked about
That might
putting a
be
map
good.
in there as well.
Put a picture with it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if this is
Oh, you do have a link through too? Okay.
I don't know if this is ticky-tacky, but would it be better to have question 2 before question 1? Or question 2 and 3 before question 1?
The demographic data first.
Make that too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can make that switch.
Flip those questions.
Just like,
3 first.
Okay.
I don't know, in my
First, second.
mind, like I'm just thinking of logical order.
So you want number 3 is number 2.
That makes more sense.
Or do you want number 3 as the first question?
I would is number 1, number 2 is number 2, number 1 is number 3.
So all
Yeah,
your demographic
that
data
sounds
is
good.
coming first.
Got that.
I like it.
Recorded, we play that back.
Okay,
Yeah.
Who's
that's
on first? Change
Stacy
depends on what
has
who's on first.
that.
Okay, let's go to 4.
And then number 4, if you will have a high school student, 26, 27, which school do you expect they will attend? So this is that.
So
We can reword that a little
So
bit.
that, yeah, if I read that expect, I'm trying to, are people going to interpret that as I expect this will be my boundary, or do we want to know where they want?
What would you like them to say?
I don't know, that's what I'm
Which
wondering.
one
What
would
is
you
your
choose?
preference?
What is your
Which would you
preferred
choose?
school?
Which would you prefer?
Which was your preferred high school?
We talk about preference, so we probably should use prefer up there.
Prefer?
Yeah.
Should we spell that question out and say, since it is your choice, if you have a junior or senior, which school will you pick?
Yeah, part of me wanted even another question on that, and maybe this, it would be if your area does not is not boundary to your preferred choice, would you open enroll to the other school? Yes
It's
or
almost
no?
another question.
Yeah, that would be another question.
Yeah, that would need to be in, yeah, because I still really want that data, but that's a good question.
So
So
we're
I
gonna
add-
work this question and then add, the next question would be about if you're bound to school that you did not, however we'll say it right, then would you school choice
The
elsewhere?
reason I want that other question is I think then if you take the elementary, which elementary boundary are you in, you can kind of see how strong the pull is, for instance, to Wasatch coming out of that boundary itself.
And do we just want to know for incoming seniors, or do we want to know
I think
younger kids as well?
Everybody.
So,
Well, this asks for high school students.
Yeah. High school students is where, that's the immediate need we're gonna have is high school students.
so just the high schools right now.
Okay, and then the next one, we like to understand your choice better. What makes this school your preferred option? Do you like that question? Leave that in. Yay.
So can I go back, sorry, to the other one? Because where we've talked about, it's middle schoolers that are having the most heartburn over this, because Adam said 25% of high schoolers bus, whereas 85% of middle schoolers bus. My personal opinion, and I guess to help me understand why just high school, because I'm thinking about people I've talked to, they don't have high schoolers, but they have very strong opinions about what middle school they want their kid to go to, and therefore what high school.
We could ask another set of questions about the middle school, saying, just mirror those
Yeah,
questions.
because
from
we are
middle school.
changing them to a separate middle school as well if we change the high school boundary.
Maybe do middle school and then the high school question.
So those people that you've talked to that have very strong opinions, do any of them have a strong opinion to go to Deer Creek?
No, my area and this the people I talk to is who I live around, right? But and change is hard. They want to stay at Timpanogos and they want to go to Wasatch because that's where their current friends are. That's what they're used to. That's the emotional attachment to the high school. Like people that I've talked to in my area, that's why they want B.
So
Also,
would
we
you
want
like
to put some middle school questions on there as well.
Put a middle school one on?
Okay, you can do that.
Okay. Do you like that question number 5? Leave it, change it?
I'm just wondering if we do we want to how many comments and do we want to read it? Do we want to give some multiple choice? Like
It'll be a lot.
is
This
this
is-
because of friend group, proximity, other, maybe other as a comment? Because we
Yeah,
got tons
AI, I
of
think,
comments
the
last
last
time.
two
We
Well,
did,
true.
but with AI, we were able to disaggregate those and at least come up with some
A theme,
popular
so it'll be
themes and
easy.
those type of things. So I don't know that we need to be scared about leaving it open for parents.
And it gives
Done it before.
people a chance to say something.
Yeah.
So
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Voice.
I like it.
Okay. Number 6, how are you receiving information about boundary adjustments? Just to find
This is good.
out how where they're getting their
You
information.
need to add another box that says, what boundary adjustments?
Well,
Don't worry, that box
that's
needs to check more often than we
That's
think.
the other.
That's the other, okay, we'll leave it.
Are you good with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. And then 7, do you attend the neighborhood, did you attend the neighborhood meeting about boundary adjustments? It's just kind of good to know.
And other
If
comments.
they've
I like
attended
that.
something in person or things in person.
So did you mean the more recent ones or any of them,
Any.
starting from the beginning?
Probably,
Like a few
and
months
do
ago,
you want to know
mentioned?
more about more recent or?
So with the
I
addition
think
of about
Annie-
10, 11 questions, I think that's good. Not too long.
With what's been added?
And then this will be in English and Spanish?
This one right here is done, in like Survey Monkey, we would do it through Qualtrics and Brett's Magic, and the last ones we've done before, Brett and Kirsta.
Always in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of the feedback we got at Todd Hollow, they were saying, is there a way to do a QR code so that it naturally translates on the phone? It can be read to
And what are we
people
doing?
in
So-
Spanish?
So when it goes out, the feedback, when it goes out in email, there are people that do not use email.
Right.
They would prefer to QR code it or it comes through text.
So talking with Todd Hollow even last night and when we went up there, some of those parents said, hey, we have a bunch of families that would like to contribute, but actually don't read in either English or Spanish. And so one of their asks as we talked, could, and I'm drawing a blank on her name, even offered to help us.
Rosa.
Rosa, thank you. if we went up there and we could even have another time, an hour or two, where we could say, hey, come, we can help you
Help you through the survey.
help you understand what you're answering, and we could send a few people up there to help, at least that neighborhood to help fill out the survey.
Yeah, that's why she said the QR code, because their phones will translate it. She said even the flyers we sent home, a lot of them couldn't read the flyer.
Well, we could have this set up with a QR code, and we could have those explaining if they have
So
questions,
we
all
have
what the
one,
questions are
yeah,
saying.
that will make it accessible. I
Yeah.
love that.
That I don't know. But Eric.
Have a plan.
All right, any other questions on there as far as the survey is concerned?
So we're gonna add, between 4 and 5, we're adding a secondary question. That
Middle
says,
school one.
If you are a middle schooler,
Yeah. If you
so
have,
I thought there was actually 2 questions we're adding.
There was, we're
Yeah,
gonna,
about
Middle
we're gonna,
schooler, and then also, if you don't go to get the school that you want, or
Would your
or
choice.
your preference, would you choice to go to middle?
yeah. We'll add that, then mirror 4 or 5 in that question
Yeah.
for the middle school version.
And that would be, it help us to be able to disaggregate if this many want what school choice to do.
how strong their feelings are that they would be willing to say, you know what, I'm gonna opt out. And even if my neighborhood's supposed to go to a school, I feel strongly if I'm gonna attend it.
We try to address that imbalance that it has a
I think
potential.
it could give us some information on where the imbalance that might be, but I thought about this last night on my drive home. I think at some point sooner than later, we can go survey at least our juniors and seniors and say, what are you thinking? So I don't know how we would do that without a boundary, but I think we could do that. I don't think it would take a lot of work. And I think we could have that maybe by the 10th, so that we have that information to at least look at what we have.
I think that'd be great.
So,
That should be the highest participation survey that we have.
yeah.
Statistically speaking,
Yes.
It should be.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of, picking a class that they attend consistently.
That too.
Yes,
Do you think
Lunch.
it's important, like Kim was saying, for juniors and seniors who all they've known is Wasatch High School, that VR experience or something for
Yeah,
them to
before,
see?
yeah.
To have an option, to know the other option.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know the other option.
We'll-
I think they're gonna fill it out by emotion.
We'll
Wasatch.
put together, we can try to put together a whole something on that, see where we can get to by fall break. What do we got, 2.5 weeks?
Well,
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
So we have to have the numbers to the Utah High School Activities Association by December.
Yep. Yep.
We're gonna have to start making a football schedule,
I think-
fall sports schedule. What do we have for that?
You said 14th. December 14th. That's what,
December 14th.
I think that's what,
I think
said yesterday.
Ryan's the one that's supposed to tune on this, so don't quote me on this, but I think he said the 15th.
I just quoted you the 14th.
Okay,
You
might
said-
be, I might have said
I mean, don't miss a day before.
Not today.
Our best bet would be to text Ryan Bishop and know the exact date, because my guess he knows.
Ron, fact check that.
It's really important to give, if you want to give parents the most time to choice, it's important to me that you make this decision by the October.
Yeah, I was thinking this, when we get together on the 10th, we might want to schedule a little bit of extra time and make sure we get our job done. Otherwise, we're really going to start backing up the ability of our parents to work through emotions and go to logic and do whatever they need to do within their own homes. Talk to friends, talk to teammates, like, I mean, it'll happen fast, but just some time to process through that, I think, will be critical.
Otherwise, they're going to know the third week of November, and we're going to ask them for a decision in December 1st with Thanksgiving
And
break in
holidays
there.
are going, yeah.
Okay, so what are your immediate action?
We're changing this gets sent out.
When does this go out?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're going to be in a committee meeting, make sure that we look at the final draft of it. We'll put it out, we'll try to have it out for a week. At least that'll be the attempt. I mean, we got to work through Brett and make sure all that happens, but it'll be an attempt to be ready. That week will get us the information back enough to disaggregate the data, get it in your hands for 4 or 5 days before we would meet again. I think those are the timelines we're trying to hit on that. And then we'll immediately start working with the demographer and others to get the scenarios we need. And as soon as we've got those together, we'll put a package and we'll get it out to you guys.
What about some kind of a video?
Yeah,
I
somebody-
really would like to put the,
Yeah.
in my perfect world, this is just me, a video really close to the survey.
We'll do the best we can with Steph and Sean
It
to
goes
see
out
what's
tomorrow?
available through
Send it
our.
out tomorrow.
We're meeting tomorrow. When does the survey-
After the meeting.
Right
Well,
after
we
the
were
meeting?
gonna try to get the survey out so that we could get it back. If we were out for a week, we get it back by like the 2nd. That would give us a chance to get it in, disaggregate it, make sense of it, get it back out to you guys, give you 4 or 5 days to look at it so that you can come in ready to study it. So that's.
But maybe if the video goes out the week after, before the decision is made, we can still educate about 2 great schools and we've kind of set that, the expectation that there's 2 great schools before the decision is made and.
I think reality, we're probably gonna, if we do that in the timeline we have, it's probably gonna be using things that already exist more than creating new, so we're just gonna have
Which
to
I
see
think is fine.
what exists.
No, yeah, just something.
Yeah. Other thoughts or questions on that?
That's what I want to know, what's priorities and.
Fraud risk
Okay,
assessment?
I don't pretend that you guys haven't been looking forward to this.
I am super excited. Do I have to
Yes?
ask?
What's that?
Is there a test?
Well, no, but you do have an assignment.
Hey, we did a good job on this, that was.
So
really
this
great.
is an assessment that we do as part of our audit. Well, we have to submit it to the state auditor every year. And it's just a checklist sort of things that helps us gauge our level of risk as it relates to potential fraud. And so primarily, you'll see that 200 of the 394 points is, are there adequate internal controls? And there's a separate questionnaire that we use to go through that. Our auditors look at that significantly. There's they ask us a series of questions about our internal controls to ensure that we have good internal controls as it relates to receiving cash, as it relates to approved expenditures, as it relates to a separation of duties within the business office. And so then the rest of those then are proper policies in place. Is there a CPA on our staff? Do we have at least bachelor's degrees in accounting? So you can see all these things. Is there a fraud hotline? We do have a fraud hotline that Brian was asking me about today that I could see that we need to add. It's on the district pages, but we need to add to the school pages. We have an audit committee that we're meeting on Tuesday with our audit committee. We asked 2 community members to be part of that. One of them is actually an audit partner of a separate firm that I'm excited that will give us some good feedback. So the only thing that we haven't done, and it's just because we have new board members, is the governing body members have a specific training that you need to do. And we can go over some of this I thought we could go over maybe some of this in our retreat together. We can send it out to you. It should take about 45 minutes total. And so we can talk about how we do that, but that's the only thing. You technically have 4 years to do it. But, it's best practice that we just get in and get that done. Again, it's just sort of some basic stuff that just ensures that you know what to look for as it relates to the finances of the district. And so this is on the agenda for an action plan and it's just, you're just going to approve the results of the fraud risk assessment. Any questions that you guys have, I'm happy to answer.
I appreciate the thoroughness. When I talked to you earlier, I mean, it's awesome, the internal controls we have. So I appreciate all your work and the team's work to make sure, we're using money right.
Well, our auditors are really helpful in that. They come and stay for a long time. We do a more extensive audit than most schools do. And
They're paid hourly, right?
well, I do know that it's not cheap, but I think that it's money well spent because they really dig in and look at a lot of. I've talked to some other school districts about their audits, and it's a much briefer, shorter time frame. This is a company we've used for a long time. They know us and we trust them, and it's a good experience for us to go through it. And when the audit is complete, they will come and present the results of that to you in a board meeting.
Right.
I loved how calm you were through the time that they were here. Just calm.
When you've done the best you can and you have things in the right spots, you don't need to worry that much about it, right? Perfect. Okay, awesome, thanks.
For the record, I stand corrected, December 15th.
You're 1 for 1.
One for one.
Yeah, 1 for 1. Sean's 0-1 and I'm 1-0.
All right, that's great. We'll go ahead and just adjourn our study session and move into go upstairs. Is there a motion to adjourn study session?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Study session adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.